Welcome to the Radical Success Podcast, where we focus on internal transformation to experience external results. I'm your host and coach, Doreen Rainey. Join me each week for insightful messages and powerful interviews to equip you to take bold, courageous, and radical action to live the life you want and deserve. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Radical Success Podcast. It is Doreen Rainey, and we have just crossed over into July, which means we are moving into the next 6 months of 2020. And man, oh man, oh man, oh man, what a first 6 months it has been. We have all been dealing with COVID. We've been dealing with quarantining. We've been dealing with social unrest. Many of us have been dealing with shifting how we work, shifting how we do our business, homeschooling. I mean, the list of disruptions just goes on and on and on. And, here at the Radical Success Institute, we continue to stay focused on what it is we do best, which is helping people define success for themselves and getting the guts to go after it. And I will tell you now more than ever, we need to be intentional and focused on what success looks like for us, what our goals are, what our vision is, and being able to tap into the courage, the boldness to make those things a reality. And I believe now more than ever that when we fully step into our purpose, when we fully step into the pursuit of our goals, when we fully stay committed to what it is we know we are called to do, it allows us to not only experience the personal success that we are looking for, it also positions us to serve our families, to serve our communities, and to serve the world at large. We can make a difference and we can have an impact when we are fully embracing our ability to achieve the goals that we have. Over the last couple of months, I have done panel discussions, I have done trainings and virtual masterclasses to my community, talking about this very subject. Talking about what it means to create advocacy, talking about what it means to stay on track as an entrepreneur during times like this, talking about what it means to be able to stay intentional and focused while managing our mental health, managing our mind, our body, our soul, and our spirit. And if you've missed any of those trainings, I encourage you to go to doreenrainey.com. You can check out the blog there. That is where you'll find information on the replays and being able to access some of those trainings and sessions that I've done. Some of those conversations exclusively took place inside of our Radical Success Inner Circle. And that is our membership community where we help our members move from information gatherer to action taker. And it's also where I, in connecting with these members, conduct monthly coaching Q&A calls. We have monthly accountability pod sessions and an opportunity to network and connect with each other on a much more personal and consistent basis than in our community at large. And so if membership in the Inner Circle is something that piques your interest, you can go to radicalsuccessinnercircle.com to get all of the details. We only open membership a few times a year. And so if our membership isn't open when you go visit, make sure you get on the wait list so that you can learn more about opportunities to join the membership when they open up. And so on today's episode, I am so excited to have this guest on with me today. I have known this woman for years, and I am always in awe of her grace, her beauty, her intelligence, as a leader, as a business owner, as a wife, as a friend. She is one amazing woman. And I am talking to her today about her book, The Big Stretch. And so Teneshia Jackson Warner is the founder and CEO of EGAMI Group, an award-winning multicultural marketing firm recently named one of Adweek's top 100 fastest-growing marketing agencies serving some of today's most successful companies. She's a dynamic speaker, two-time author, creator of the Dream Project Symposium, and coach to dreamers at all stages of their path to their greater purpose. Her latest book, which we are going to be talking about today, The Big Stretch, 90 Days to Expand Your Dreams, Crush Your Goals, and Create Your Own Success, is a fully customizable self-evaluation and empowerment guide helping dreamers jumpstart a new business, career, or big idea. In this book, Teneshia chronicles her own dream journey from quitting her corporate job to making history at the helm of the first Black woman-led company to win the esteemed Cannes Lion Grand Prix Award and earning a 2018 Emmy Award for Outstanding Commercial. Did you hear that? An Emmy Award. I'm just so proud of her. Her other professional awards includes the Black Enterprise Rising Star Award, the Black Enterprise 40 Under 40, Ad Color MVP, and the Network Journal's 40 Under 40 Awards. She invites dreamers of all ages, backgrounds, and professions to join the Big Stretch movement. Please help me give a big radical welcome to Miss Teneshia Jackson Warner. Hello, Teneshia.
Hello, Get Radical community.
I have been looking forward to this conversation for a minute because I know that you have been doing some big things in the world. One, as a small business owner, and then most recently you've been an author, but you had a brand new book that was released. So I want to make sure we talk about that as well. But I want, first of all, for people who don't know you to have a chance to learn a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
All right. Well, number one, Doreen, thank you so much for having me here. You guys, Doreen is my soul sister. She's my soul sister, and it has always been. You've been one of those people that when we met, it felt like I knew you forever. But who am I? So I am Teneshia, and ladies, like many of you, I wear many hats. I'm a CEO, I'm an author, I'm a businesswoman, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend. But if you had to say, like, what is that one word to describe me? I am a dreamer. And by that, I believe in the impossible. I believe in radical thinking. And that's a bit about me. I'm the founder of EGAMI Group, a multicultural marketing agency in New York. I'm also the founder of the Dream Project, an empowerment platform designed to support professionals as well as business owners take their dreams from dream to reality. And I'm an author. My first book was Profit with Purpose. And my second book, which is, it was just released in November, is The Big Stretch.
Yes, The Big Stretch. And, you know, Teneshia has spoken at events. We've been at the same stage together. I remember when she was working on this latest book. I remember how passionate she was about the message, right? The book is the vehicle that gets the message out, but the passion and the commitment and the desire you have for people to get this message, internalize this message, and live this message, I know is what you are fully committed to. And so share with people, what is it? What do you mean when you say the big stretch?
All right. Well, given that I'm talking to the Get Radical community, you guys are going to really get this concept. So I've had an opportunity to speak with over 200 iconic dreamers, whether it's Magic Johnson, Doreen Rainey, Kathy Hughes, Lisa Price, Jennifer Fleiss, Christine Kane. Out of all of these dreamers, there's one unifier that is like the same thing that all of them had to do at some point in their dream journey. And all of them at some point had to say yes to the stretch. And the stretch is the distance between your comfort zone and your dream. It is your willingness to be uncomfortable in the name of that dream. It's your willingness to take a step on the other side of normal, your willingness to be radical. It's that moment that is required of every dreamer that says, are you willing to go beyond your comfort zone in the name of this dream? So that is what the stretch is.
Yes.
And for me, after interviewing so many of these dreamers and realizing that the stretch is the formula that all dreamers must master in order to realize the dreams that are within their heart, I'm not only passionate about it, but I wanted to create a book that really took all of those key learnings from my interviews and conversations and distill a dreamer's blueprint for individuals that are committed to being fully expanded in this lifetime.
Yes, yes. And you know, one of the things that, of course, I resonate so much with is moving beyond your comfort zone. And when we look at what has been happening in real time in 2020, I don't think anybody had on their vision board, had on their to-do list, a lot of what has happened in 2020. And whether it is COVID, whether it is the social unrest, whether it's unemployment or pivoting as a business owner or shifting around being in quarantine or homeschooling your children, now more than ever, I think people either will sink more into their comfort zone out of fear and uncertainty, or they really will take that step to stretch, to see this as a time to stretch. And so for those people who have been a little lost during this time, maybe they feel like, should I really be going after my goals right now? Should I really be focused on my dreams when so much is happening around us? What do you say to them?
Well, you know, it's funny. You have to, and I know you know this as well, Doreen, as a transformational teacher. So you guys, as a teacher, we will have our lessons and our blueprint, but I always say that we have to be willing to be students every step of the way. So being transparent with the entire audience, you know, when I wrote the book, I was on a mountain in my comfort zone, you know, and I'm pulling from things that I learned from my journey and pulling from the dreamers, but I had no idea that 2020 would actually end up being a big stretch moment for the world.
Yes.
And so many times I'm now having to go back to that book and say, what did I say about this? Because you know what? I'm uncomfortable right now. You know what? I didn't plan for all of these things that are occurring to occur. So there's many lessons in the big stretch. One thing that the book is broken out into 4 parts. It's dream, design, dare, and do. So one thing that I would say is right now, with everything that's happening with COVID-19, the social unrest that the country is experiencing, it is also an opportunity for us to dream and reimagine. So when I say that, the way that businesses are doing their business right now, everything shifted radically. So we had to be willing as business owners to shift quickly, and we had to be willing to reimagine and dream quickly. So one challenge I would have to you is take a look at how things are being impacted, whether you're now in a working remote world, whether you had a restaurant business and you've now had to innovate and 90% of your business is through delivery. Um, there is such an opportunity to pause and say, now what? Yeah. So dream and reimagine how you were doing things. Dream and reimagine the possibilities of the future. It's something that I'm saying this, it's in the book as a lesson, but guys, I'm living it now. So as a business owner, I had to reimagine how we do business. I couldn't be stuck to having to do it from our physical office. I needed to make sure that the teams were set up to work virtually. I had to reimagine, what does networking look like when you can't see anybody? So I'm doing Zoom calls and I'm sending gifts and I'm being very creative on how do we engage with our clients. And then in terms of our core services, at some point, our business, we were literally seeing contracts dry up. And it wasn't our client's fault, but I think Alfred at Black Enterprise said it best. He said, nobody can get paid if you're not getting paid. Right. So, like, it's a ripple effect. Exactly. Ain't nobody getting paid if ain't nobody getting paid. Right. And he said that, I was like, that was great, Alfred, because you're summing up what's happening in the economy. So we had major Fortune 50 clients call us and say, our business is being hit so hard that we have to hold your contract. So even our core services, I went to the team and said, we got to reimagine our services. How do we take this pain and turn it into purpose? So that's a lesson in dreaming. From a design perspective,
let me say something about the dream. And so with all of that, what you talked about with the business is so relevant in every other area, right? In your relationships, with your finances, is that you have to be willing to reimagine. You can't get stuck in the change that happened, right? But we don't have control over a lot of that. And if we allow ourselves to stay stuck too long, then we don't get to reimagine, we don't get to innovate, and we could miss out on pivoting opportunities or new opportunities or a new way of doing business. And so I would say that your purpose, that your dream, that your desires, they're not quarantined. Ooh. They just have to be reimagined. And it is okay to grieve the loss. When you lost your job, if your finances are taking a hit, if you're losing business contracts, even as you're pivoting and shifting and reimagining, it's a loss. And you are okay to grieve that loss, even as you redirect, pivot, shift, and reimagine. And so I just wanted to make that clear, because your example is so great. You had to totally flip how you did business. And make a way out of seemingly something that is no way. But that's what we do. That's what we do as entrepreneurs. That's what we do as women. That's what we do as radical people. And that's what we do when we are determined to stretch. So yes, okay, that was dream. Take us to the next one.
And you said one thing that I want to double click on, when you also said it's okay to grieve a loss. I think as individuals that achieve it, we can be driven, like, what's next? Another thing that I learned in this phase, I really had to give myself permission to not be okay. And that was so unusual for me. It was very unusual. So for all of our Get Radical community, I want you to be okay with being authentic with yourself through this process. The feelings are real. We're living through times that, when my grandparents start saying, I've never seen times like this, then we are living through a historic moment. So I do want to make sure that you guys, it's okay to not be okay, and get you another dream partner that you can check in with through this. So that next phase is design. So when you start to reimagine, and now what? The design phase in the book is all around having a plan, right? Having a plan of how do you take that big idea vision and then break it down into actionable parts. Who do you need to know? What do you need to do? Who are you servicing? It's like if you were building a house, the design phase is where you're actually drawing the blueprint. Well, again, when I went back and read the book, post, writing it and it coming out, what stuck out to me is I encourage all of the readers, write this plan, but you must promise me that you will use a pencil and not an ink pen, because I can tell you, you need to be ready to flip it and erase at any moment to carve out a new path. And so, guys, that's where we are right now in COVID-19 and what's happening within the world. Yes, you may have had a plan coming into 2020, but I can pretty much say, I know for a fact, so many people, I'm on the CEO board, and it's so funny where it's all of these CEOs of major global agencies, and we're kind of looking at each other and they're like, it's time to forecast, but we don't know what to forecast. I mean, these are very smart people. And I kind of got tickled. Like, you know what? The planner has been taking away the ability to use a pen when drafting the forecast, or when you're building that the blueprint out. So make sure that you're fluid and flexible during this period as you design. And honestly, guys, when I say fluid and flexible, I've had to say to my leadership team, we're taking this thing one day at a time. Yeah, I typically might have my 1 year forecast, but I couldn't do it. I'm in a season right now where it's one day at a time. And yes, I can think through a quarter, right? Yeah. But even inside of that quarter, the willingness to be flexible in the moment and pivot, that's the secret sauce of surviving and thriving during these times, is your keen awareness of what's happening and then making an adjustment in real time.
Yes.
Is key.
Yes. And what is so powerful about that is that you have to revisit the plans, right? So the first thing is you should have a plan, a written out, a design. People don't just start putting some bricks and some drywall up when they want to build a house. They take some measurements, they get some testing on the soil. And so you need to make sure that, first of all, you have that solid plan that now you can go back to for the pivot, for the adjustment, for the shift. And I think for some people, they've been just so blindsided by everything that's happening. You may have had the original design, but you haven't looked at it in a while. You haven't faced it. You haven't said, okay, let me rewrite this financial strategy. Let me erase what we had for our business and pencil some new stuff in. Let me look at where our relationship was. And we've been, at first we were booed up in quarantine. Now we stuck together, right? So we need to revisit that design that we had for all of these areas of our lives. And so I'm encouraging you, if you kind of maybe put your head in the sand, or maybe have been just feeling so much of a loss and so much of a grief, or so overwhelmed, you're working from home, you're homeschooling, now you got to cook every day and you got to clean every day. Take a moment, pull up those blueprints, pull up those plans, get your eraser out and start re-strategizing. So yeah. Yes. And so now that we've dreamed and designed, what's next?
You're going to love this one. This one has Doreen Rainey written all over it. So the next one is Dare. And the reason why I say you're going to love this one is because you have built an entire platform sharing with professionals and dreamers that you're going to have to be radical. And the notion of being radical is embracing a very daring spirit. So I say that dare is really the elasticity in the stretch. So your willingness to dare is like having a rubber band, and that daring is what's going to stretch you. It's what's going to expand you. It's what's going to take you into new territories where you get to meet versions of yourself that you didn't even know existed. That radicalness, like that is the secret sauce of the stretch. And it never happens within the comfort zone. And so in the chapter with Dare, I really work with you on saying, what is your comfort zone, and in what ways will you have to be bold and radical? Perhaps you're shy. Maybe, I have a person, she was the founder of Blogger. She told me, she said, I am terribly shy. One of her mentors said to her, shy people don't eat in the entrepreneur world. So you're going to have a really skinny business. So you either get to be radical and get over this shyness. And so she had to be bold in really saying, I can't be shy. I got to go in rooms. I got to step up. I got to be willing to pitch. Maybe your comfort zone is, you have a good idea, but you're not quite sure if the idea is good enough. Like maybe perfection is a weak spot. I hear that a lot with dreamers, of they're waiting for the perfect moment. So perhaps your dare is going to be willing to move forward when something's not perfect. You have to do the soul searching to really determine, what does my dare have to look like in this season? But you can pay attention to yourself. If you get butterflies, if your hands get sweaty, if you think, I'm just not going to be able to do that, that's probably the area where you're going to have to lean in and be bold and be radical and dare to get a different result. So that's what the dare section is about. It's like, I'm really pushing you to say, how do you become uncomfortable? Like, what is it going to take for you to stretch and expand?
Yeah, and times like this, the dare becomes even more important, because there is nothing available to us in status quo anymore. There is nothing available to us in the way we used to do business or the way we used to do life. It's everything from, can I take my dog to get groomed, to can I, go eat at a restaurant? And so everything is about the dare. And I know for some people, part of the dare for you is to acknowledge what it really takes to make something happen. And I think sometimes people can look to their left or their right, or they'll look at what someone else is doing and think that they have it easier because of this. Or someone will give advice about how you need to go about doing something, and you may feel like, well, it don't take all of that, right? But you have to dare to believe what it will take for you to actually make it happen, and not be afraid to really step out there. And more than ever, whatever makes you uncomfortable, you have to move past it. You have to get over it, go under it, manage it, deal with whatever's internally driving that, what fear is underneath that, what level of story, of lies in your soul are you telling yourself that has been holding you back from that. But I am telling you, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're in the career space, or whatever it is in your life right now that has been upheavaled, or, discombobulated, it's in the dare that you can make the change and the shift that has to be made in order for you to move forward. And so after dare,
the last phase is do. And again, when I wrote this, the first opening of this chapter, I can remember sitting in the cushy cabin, and what I talked about is the do is the willingness for you to do the dream for the long term. But I pulled these stories of, did you know a Michael Jordan didn't make the basketball team, but he was willing to still do? Or did you know that someone actually told Oprah Winfrey she wasn't made for TV, but she was willing to still do? And so it's this willingness to push forward for the long term. I also had all of these stories of individuals that they straight up had to fight for their dream. Like you see the success, but you have no idea, which actually you're quoted in this chapter. You are quoted in this chapter. I'm seeing this now, because you said something like, people see a success and you think it was overnight, but that's 10 years what you're looking at. Right. And so it's also this willingness to fight the giants that stand between them and their dreams. And I talked about having a dream warrior spirit. Dream warriors expect the unexpected. So they're not stopped when the unexpected happens. Dream warriors also have this tenacious ability to take some of the most painful things that you've ever experienced and channel that pain into purpose in the world.
Whew.
And yes. And so it's some of these concepts that were in this Dream Warrior chapter that I have gone back to that chapter the past 3 months. And I've had to say, I have to unleash the Dream Warrior. If I'm going to survive this, if I'm going to thrive, okay, the unexpected happens. But it says right here, Dream Warriors expect the unexpected. Okay, an obstacle is in my way. But you know what? It says right here, Dream Warriors will fight the no. They will fight the rejection. Okay, I'm experiencing pain when I look at what's happening within the world, but it says right here, a dream warrior will take that pain and flip it into purpose. So if you're listening, like, this is the season of dream warriors.
Yes. And warrior is really a call to action. Like, for everybody out there who has been trying to manage in these last months, it is in being the warrior, the ability to not give up, to deal with the change, to do, to dare, to dream. That's where your success lies. That's where the wins lie. And being willing to, number one, redefine what the win looks like in this new era, and then apply the dream, the dare, the do, the design, all of those elements to make it happen. And so, Teneshia, before I let you go, this has just been such an amazing conversation. And I know that as people listen to this, this will probably be one that they replay quite a few times, because it is so relevant to what many people are experiencing right now. And it's so practical on how they can get out of whatever situation they're in, or that they need to pivot or shift or make a change. And so, Teneshia, can you share with them any final words or final pieces of advice, and then also let them know how they can connect with you?
All right. So the final piece of advice that I would say is, this is your moment to stretch. And when I say this is your moment to stretch, you may say, well, why? Like, you just described expanding, you just described daring and doing and fighting. Here's the beauty of what's on the other side of your stretch. There is another version of you that's waiting to meet you. So perhaps that version is a new business owner that has learned how to launch a business in the midst of COVID-19. Perhaps that version is a very loving wife that redesigned her marriage after realizing in being in quarantine that you maybe need to work on some things. Perhaps it is a mother who realized, I have the ability to teach my kids life lessons that school never taught them. Perhaps there is a nonprofit starter where you know that you've been in pain with looking at what's happening in the world, and now you're being called to be a part of that answer. I'm not sure who that person is that's waiting on the other side of that stretch. You need to get in contact with who that person is. But I can tell you that there's a version of you that's waiting to meet you, that's stronger, that she's worth it. He's worth it to push to meet that person. So that's what I want to leave you with, is stretch, because there's another version of you that's waiting for you to say, come on. You're not even going to know that you weren't meant to break. Come on. You're not even going to know that you have the ability to withstand everything that you're about to go through. So you got to push for that other version of yourself. In terms of how you keep in contact with me, I'm on social media. It's Teneshia J. Warner. I'm sure Doreen will give you those handles, but follow me on Instagram, Facebook friend me. And for you all that want to go deeper, you can go to thebigstretchbook.com. I have many exercises that are in the book that you can actually sign up and download the content. There is also a quiz that's called the Dreamer's Profile Assessment. Go take that. And it's all around helping you identify what path may be right for you from a career perspective. And you learn more about yourself. And then if you like what you experience, I recommend that you get the book. And you can get the book anywhere from Barnes and Noble to Target and Amazon, but it is a 90-day action guide. Like, I wanted to make sure it wasn't just about dreaming the dream. You're going to dream, you're going to work on your dream every single week, every single week. And so I would say get this book, and commit to yourself. It's a tool and a guide and a blueprint that I will help you almost as your dream coach week after week with the actions that are needed to move you towards that dream and to also stretch you and expand. So, Doreen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I mean, the wisdom that has been shared today is unmeasurable. And it is so timely, and I appreciate you. You know, I love you. Excited for the message that you have in this world and how it is literally going to change people's lives. And so, yes, follow Teneshia, get a copy of the book, go to thebigstretchbook.com to get the exercises and the assessments. And Teneshia, we will talk soon. Thank you so much for being
I love you, sister. And,
right.
and you already know we getting another girlfriend call. You guys are listening into our business, but I love her so much, and it's been way too long. So I got to love on my Doreen. So you just get ready. I'll call you too. And for all of the Get Radical community, share with Doreen. We want to hear some of the results of what's happening in your life when you make up your mind that you're willing to stretch, you're willing to be radical. So I love you guys, and thank you so much for this opportunity, Doreen.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Radical Success Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Be sure to head over to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, stay radical.